Hi, and thanks for joining us on our Broadcasters Rules Challenge. I'm Chris Welsh. Great show coming up today, veteran show. Got guys who've been around the game a long, long time. Joe Castiglione, broadcaster, play-by-play man on the radio for the Boston Red Sox. Dave Van Horne, he's been with the Expos. He's been with a number of other teams. He's called World Series games for the Florida Marlins, and he is also in the Hall of Fame as a former Ford Frick Award winner. And behind the plate, retired now, but veteran umpire Jim Joyce from Toledo, Ohio. Really great to have all you guys on board, and we're looking forward to playing a little Broadcaster Rules Challenge right after this. There are 3 ways to use BaseballRulesAcademy.com. The first, come on in free and look up any rule, no membership required. What you get are rules from Major League Baseball, high school baseball, college baseball, and all different levels of amateur baseball. The second way is to become a free member. You simply join with an email address. Our free members have access to selected content like case studies, videos, course lessons, quizzes, rules updates, and forums. It's about 10% of our website content. The best way? Premium membership. Our premium members see case studies, videos, course lessons, interactive quizzes and tests, rules updates, forums, all of course at different levels. Time to make the call. BaseballRulesAcademy.com. Now on sale for 65% off. Welcome to the Broadcaster Rules Challenge. Got a great show today. We're going to call this the Veteran Show today because the guys who we have here have been around baseball a long, long time. And let's start first with our umpire behind home plate, now retired umpire Jim Joyce. Jim, you joined Major League Baseball way back in 1987, and now you're in your retirement years. And hey, welcome to the Broadcaster Rules Challenge.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I look back at a long career, and it went. And these guys will attest to this too. It went by in a blink. And you know what? I wish I was young enough to do it all over again.
Don't we all? Dave Van Horne, you and I have worked together before. You've called some of my terrible games pitching and even a couple of my innings where I had got some guys out. But a Ford Frick Award winner in 2011. You were there with the Expos when they started in 1969, now with the Florida Marlins, and just going strong. Dave, let me ask you, in your broadcasting career, are there some rules that have kind of made you puzzle a little bit, just kind of wondering, gee, how can that be?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't think of one specifically right now, but over the years, I've thought they should change that. You know, I think we've all gone through that when we read the details of a rule out of the rule book and we say, that just doesn't sound right, or that's too verbose. There are too many words there trying to tell me something that should be a lot simpler than it is.
Well, Dave, today you'll be going up against American League East, Boston Red Sox, Joe Castiglione. And Joe, welcome to the Broadcaster Rules Challenge. How you doing?
Thank you, Chris. Great to be with you guys. And great to see Jim Joyce. He was one of my favorite umpires because the way he shouted out strikes. You always knew it was a strike with Jim behind the plate. There were some other guys who were a little slow and not very verbal, but with Jim, he didn't even need a microphone. We really appreciated that as broadcasters.
Some would just say that's a big mouth.
It was.
Others may say, Jim, that you were keeping the broadcasters awake.
Well, that could be true too. So I know, it's kind of funny you bring that up, Joe, because I talked to Tim McClellan the other day, and that's the first thing that comes to my head. I was watching some videotape of Tim working a playoff game, and I never really realized how slow Tim was behind the plate with his mechanic. But the batter and the catcher always knew right away.
Are we all ready now for the Broadcaster Rules Challenge?
Good to go.
Set. Right. Great to be with Dave Van Horne, too.
All right. Well, guys, here's the way it works. It's a category game, very much like Jeopardy. You start with the easy ones at the top, if you like. The 5 categories across the top are batter's box, review this, too close to call, dimensions and history, and baseline adventures. And we will defer to the elder statesman right here, Dave Van Horn. Why don't you take it? And the way we're going to do this, Dave, is that you get 2 questions. If you answer the first one correct, you get another one. If you answer the first one wrong, then we go back and forth to the other contestant. So you have the board, Dave Van Horn.
All right, let's go batter's box for 200.
All right, batter's box for 200. To be in a legal batting position, both of the batter's feet must be entirely in the batter's box and not touching the batter's box lines. Is that true or is that false?
I think that's true, but we see it in games as false when players have their feet on the line.
Okay, let's find out if it's true.
I'm going with A, true.
All right. Okay. And it is false. Jim Joyce, why don't you take us through that? This is a common misunderstanding right here.
I can remember years back, and I'm going to say it was at least 20 years back, that there was a big discussion about this in both the American League and National League. And I know that when I was in the American League, they came out with a ruling as a supplement to the rule. It does not say in the rule that both feet must be completely inside the batter's box. And so they said that as long as 1 foot is touching the line of a batter's box, the batter is deemed legal.
And the lines are part of the batter's box.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Joe, we're going to go right to you here. You've got the board.
Okay, let's try dimensions in history for 200.
Dimensions in history for 200. The distance, Joe, between the back of home plate to second base is A, 132 feet 6 inches, B, 126 feet 6 inches, C, 127 3 inches and 3/8, or D, 130 feet.
Well, I wasn't very good at geometry, but I did memorize this. 127 and 3 3/8 inches, C.
All right, C. And that is correct. It is just a case of geometry right there. Let's go to the next question. Where do you want to go, Joe?
Okay, let's do baseline adventures for 100.
Baseline adventures for 100. A runner contacts an umpire, falls down, and is impeded from advancing to a base he would have easily made. The correct ruling is A, no penalty play on, B, umpire interference, runner awarded 1 base, or C, umpire interference, all runners safe, but no advance bases awarded.
I'm going to go with A.
All right. Correct. All right, 2 for 2. Jim, this is kind of funny because it doesn't happen very often. It sometimes happens when, I guess, a runner isn't really watching where he's running. But what happens when a runner runs into an umpire?
It's just like falling down on the field. It's there's no penalty for it, and it's usually when a play's kind of messed up a little bit in the infield or maybe in the outfield a little bit. If it's a routine play, an umpire is usually farther back, and a player doesn't take that wide of a turn. It's usually a messed up play where the ball shoots through, maybe fumbled or whatever in the infield, and the runner will take a wide berth. He hits an umpire, and I tell you what, the biggest argument is when a player is thrown out after that happens. That's where you end up with a big argument right there.
Jim, have you ever been tempted maybe on a player that you didn't like very much to kind of just stick your foot out as he went by and maybe slow him down a little bit?
I think I get caught at that one.
All right. We'll go back to Dave Van Horn. Dave, you've got the board.
Okay, let's do dimensions in history for 300.
Dimensions in history for 300. Okay. Originally, pitchers threw from flat ground, but today the pitcher's rubber is how high above home plate? A, 9 inches, B, 10 inches, C, 12 inches, or D, 13 inches?
I'm going to go with D, 13 inches.
D, 13 inches. And I think it used to be 13 inches, but it's now been lowered down to 10 inches. I'm not sure if that was the Bob Gibson year where they lowered it from 13
Yeah,
to 10. Was it 13 then?
Yeah, that was after 68. In 1969, it got lowered then.
Yeah. Well, they're
And I should know that, so I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later.
Wait,
No
Jim Joyce.
it's allowed.
Jim didn't even
Long
get
way
a
to
chance
go.
to eject you yet. All right, Joe, back to you. You've got the board.
Okay, let's do too close to call for 200.
Too close to call for 200. All right, if a piece of the hitter's bat flies off the bat and interferes with a fielder making a play, A, the batter is out for interference, runners return to their bases. B, the batter is not responsible for a broken piece of bat, so no call. Or C, the batter is out for interference, but runners are permitted to advance at their own risk.
We'll go with B. Batter's not responsible for a broken bat. No call.
All right, that's correct. I guess, Jim, the difference here is whether the bat breaks or whether the bat is thrown by the hitter.
Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly. You said it perfect.
All right, Joe, one more question. What are you going?
Okay, let's do a review this for 200.
Review this for 200. Everybody likes the 200 level. All right, beginning in 2008, managers could demand a replay review only for disputed fair foul home run calls. Is that A, true, or is that B, false?
Boundary calls, true. A.
All right. And that is actually false. What is he leaving out there, Jim? I think they could have, first of all, back in 2008, I think it was umpires who could start the review and not managers couldn't demand a review. Is that correct?
Actually, it was both ways. It was managers could ask for a review, and it was only on home runs and boundary calls. And
So that meant foul territory.
You're looking at the guy that probably is the poster boy for full-blown instant replay. That started in 2014.
Okay. All right. Dave Van Horn, you've got the board. Where you want to go, Dave?
Okay, let's go batter's box 300.
Batter's box for 300. The top of the strike zone is defined as A, the top of the shoulders, B, the midpoint between the armpits and the batter's waist, C, the uniform letters, or D, the midpoint between the batter's waist and the top of the shoulders.
Okay, you have to tell me who the umpire is tonight behind home plate, and then I can pick one of those. I'm gonna go though, however, with let's see, the midway point between the armpits and the batter's waist, midway from the batter's. So I'm going to go with B. B.
The midpoint between the armpits and the batter's waist. And it actually is between the top of the shoulders and the waistband. You know what? Do you ever have, Jim Joyce, a batter turn to you and say, was that a strike? And what is the top of the strike zone?
Well, they've never asked me what the top of the strike. Well, they'll say, is that the top of it? And they'll say, "Is it a strike?" I've had guys that pitches right down the middle that will turn to me and say, "Is that a good pitch?" This is one of the rules in the rule book that is just really, really strange. It's been rewritten about 10 times just in the time that I was an umpire, and in the old days, it was considered the top of the waistband. And then they wanted a more strict strike zone. So in 2000. I believe it was 2000. They readjusted the strike zone again.
Well,
it's pretty uniform now.
It is pretty uniform, and it's a little tight for my making. I can tell you. I like those guys that like to ring them up and get that game going on. I think most broadcasters feel the same way.
God bless you.
All right, Joe. Let's go a couple more questions before we take our halftime break. You've got the board.
Okay, let's do review this for 300.
Review this for 300. You guys are leaving the easy questions at the very top out, but we're going to go review this for 300. Okay, a batter hits a line drive up the middle. The shortstop races over and dives in an attempt. The umpire rules to play a catch trap. The defensive manager wants a replay review. Is this play reviewable? A, yes. A fielder catch, no catch plays are reviewable, or no, only outfielder catch, no catch plays are reviewable.
The ball went by the bag. That's on first and third. Before the bag is not reviewable. I'm going to go with B.
B. And that's correct. I never knew this until I got into this rules game that only outfielders are able to review that. I guess if you do it on the infield, Jim, I guess they're assuming that umpires should be able to be close enough to the play that they can see it.
Well, they shouldn't assume anything, really. I disagree with this. I think it should also be in the infield. I actually had a play like this at one time with Tampa Bay, and I can remember it vividly. It was really hard to determine whether the second baseman had made a catch, no catch. And I literally told the manager for Tampa Bay that I'm going on a gut feeling, and I think he caught the ball. And Cash, the manager, looked at me and he goes, I don't know how you got that right, but you are right. He knew the answer because he'd already seen it on replay. And I think it should be a catch, no catch, reviewable in the infield also. That's my belief.
That probably would make some sense. Joe, let's go back to you. One more question before we take our halftime break. Where you want to go?
Okay, I'll go dimensions in history for 100.
Dimensions in history for 100. Okay, the dimensions of an official batter's box is A, 4x6, B, 4x5, C, 3x6, or D, 3x5.
Who's got the key to the batter's box? Well,
that's right.
What you tell the new bat boy. I'll go with A.
A?
4x6.
I think, boy, you're just whizzing right through this board. You know, we've had a lot of guys, a lot of contestants on here, but we've never had anybody do this like you have today so far, Joe. And we'll congratulate you on that. This is we'll take a quick halftime break right here. We'll be back right after this message. So, well, let's get going again. We'll start up the game board again. At this point, Dave Van Horne, you got a little ways to go here, Dave. Why don't you take the board and select where you want to go here as we start off the second half?
It's absolutely a marathon now for me. Okay, let's go batter's box 400.
All right, batter's box for 400. If the batter's backswing, a follow-through, comes around and unintentionally hits the catcher, the ruling is A, dead ball, the batter is out for interference, and runners return to their time of pitch base. The ball is alive, the batter is out for interference, and runners may advance at their own risk. Or C, the umpire calls dead ball, runners return to their time of pitch base, and a batter is only out if it is strike three.
Well, we've all seen that happen many times. I don't think the batter is out for interference on a bat that makes contact. So I'm going to go with C.
C?
Yeah.
And C is correct. All right, so Dave Van Horne is on the board. You know, Jim, this has got to be one of those confusing rules because sometimes the contact that the batter makes with the catcher is so small that even the umpire may not get it, right? That's got to be a tough call from behind the plate.
This is another rule that was changed about 15 years ago. Actually, it's even longer than that because it used to be that the batter was out, and they revisited that rule and changed it to unintentional interference. And but you're exactly right, Chris. Sometimes it could be just a brush, and you might not even see it. And also, it's not reviewable. Oops, I might have gave something away there. I hope not.
Oh, well, you maybe and maybe not. All right, Dave Van Horne, you're on a roll right now. Dave, you get back to the board.
Okay, let's go too close to call for 400.
Too close to call for 400. All right, a fielder trying to catch a fly ball and a runner trying to get back to his base are on a collision course, but both have time to adjust their path. Who has the right of way? A, the fielder, or B, the runner?
Now, that's another one we see a lot. Both have time to adjust their path, and I'm going to say that the runner has the right to the base path.
Okay.
B.
And it actually the other way around. Jim, another misunderstood rule. I guess when a fielder is fielding a batted ball, he gets priority anywhere, right?
Absolutely, on any given play.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Joe, you got the board. Where do you want to go?
Okay, let's go. I'll take an easy one. Batter's box for 100.
Batter's box for 100. All right, a batter may switch batter's boxes if he's a switch hitter in the same at bat. Is that true or is that false?
True. A.
It is true, but I guess there's some small print with that, Jim, don't you think?
One time he's only allowed to do it.
Okay. And he can't do it in the middle of the windup. Is that right?
Right. It has to be before the pitch and before the pitch even gets close to delivering the ball. He can only do it once during the time at bat.
What about a switch pitcher that we've seen before that
Has
guys
to declare before the batter gets in the box.
Well, Dave, maybe you remember when Greg Harris was on the mound. I think he was pitching for the Expos, was a switch pitcher.
Against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In a game against Cincinnati. And he had been asking Felipe Alou day in and day out that he be allowed to use the octopus and switch pitch. He called his glove the octopus because it really had no thumb. And Greg finally got a chance. Felipe put him in a game. He got out of the inning. He did well with it, but that was it. That one appearance by Greg Harris as a switch pitcher.
And he wanted to do it with the Red Sox, but was not given permission.
Huh.
Right.
Interesting stuff right there. Just no confidence that the managers have in switch pitchers. All right. Joe, you got that one right. You're going back to the board one more time.
Okay, let's do too close to call for 300.
Too close to call for 300. All right. If a catcher's throw back to the pitcher accidentally hits the batter's bat, A, the batter is called out for interference. B, live ball, play it as nothing has happened. C, interference called on the batter, all runners advance one base. Or D, dead ball, all runners return to their previous base.
I'll go with D, dead ball.
D, dead ball? Okay.
D, dead ball.
And it actually is B, live ball. Play it as nothing happened. As I remember, this happened in a playoff game not too long ago with the Toronto Blue Jays. Do you remember that play?
Yes, I do remember that play. Probably my best friend in baseball probably had that play, Dale Scott. And just inadvertent on that. You don't see that very often. It doesn't happen very often. And it can be very confusing, but the ball's still alive as it leaves the catcher's hand. And as long as the batter doesn't intentionally interfere with the throwback, the ball is alive.
Okay, so let's take it one step further. If, for instance, the throw hits the bat and then the ball rolls all the way and maybe into dead ball territory, like in a dugout, you would advance runners at that point. You would
advance runners one base.
Oh, wow. Interesting place right there. We dig them up, you guys. I got to tell you, you don't see it happen, but just in case, you learned it right here on the Broadcaster Rules Challenge. All right, Dave Van Horn, you've got the board.
Okay, let's go with batter's box 500.
Batter's box for 500. Okay. The batter bunts, then drops his bat in fair territory. The bunted ball takes a high bounce off home plate, then comes down to touch the bat, and then rolls into foul territory. The ruling would be A, since the ball hit the bat in fair territory, it's a fair ball play on. B, the umpire should rule this a foul ball. C, the batter is out for interference even though he did not intentionally drop his bat on the ball. Or D, since it's unintentional, the batter is awarded first base.
I'm going to go with C.
Okay, C. And
bunted ball hit the
so
bat in fair territory, right, on this question?
It's actually a foul ball, and I guess, Jim, it depends whether the ball hits the bat or the bat hits the ball.
Right. That's the distinction in this play. If the bat is rolling and hits the ball, it's totally different.
But a lot of people would argue, say, well, how can it be a fair ball if it ends up in foul territory?
Exactly right. It's just like a ball. If the bat wasn't there, and even though the bat deflects it, it's like the bat's not there, and the ball ends up settling in foul territory.
Okay. All right. Joe, let's go back to you. Board getting a little bit scarce, but there's some big numbers out there.
Okay, let's do dimensions and history for 400.
Dimensions and history for 400. All right. Umpires in the late 1800s were A, given a chair in the vicinity of home plate, B, provided food and beer, C, were chosen from the stands prior to the first pitch, or D, all of the above.
I thought they worked behind the pitcher's mound, but I'm going to go with A.
Hey, you're going to go with A right here, and it's actually all of the above. It was a good time to be an umpire.
Absolutely.
Food and beer.
Food and beer. It sounds like being a broadcaster. There'd be a lot more broadcasters as umpires if this were the case nowadays. I'll tell you that. All right, Dave, back to you.
All right, let's go with baseline adventures for, let's go 500.
Ooh, going for the big one right here. Baseline adventures. And all right, now this is the bonus or bust. It's the same thing as the daily double. You can risk as much as you want. Dave, you want to go up to 1,300? You can. You want to do whatever your number is.
Yeah, let's go up to 1,300.
All right. With a chance to get right back to even, here is the question. If the batter runner misses first base, the first baseman must tag the runner before he returns to the base for him to be called out. Let me read it again and emphasize. If the batter runner misses first base, the first baseman must tag the runner before he returns to the base for him to be called out. Is that A, true, or B, false?
I will say it's B, false, because it becomes a fourth play and all he has to do is step on the bag.
Okay, I think you're right.
Just as though he was taking a throw.
Okay, all right. It is for some reason the board didn't work, and my streak is intact. So let's see if we can fix it. You got 1,300 on that one, so that takes you back to 0. All right. And Joe, how did it take 1,300 away from you? I think you were at
100. I think
100. Okay. So just like that, we can fix the scoreboard. All right, Dave, back to you for one more. Where you want to go with this one?
Okay, let's go. Let's go dimensions and history for 500.
Dimensions and history for 500. Okay, 4 umpires to a regular season game began standard practice in A, 1946, B, 1952, C, 1960, or D, 1964.
Wow. Okay. 4 umpires started out in, I'm going to say it was right after the war. That's what I'm leaning toward. I'm going to go with A, 1946.
Okay, 1946, and it's actually 1952. So this is why it's a 500 level question, because no one knows the answers to these, not even Jim Joyce.
I did not know that. That's one that I learned something yesterday.
All right, Joe, back to you. You've got the board, and it's getting kind of sparse, but
okay, I'll be conservative. Let's review this for 100.
Review this for 100. All right, fan interference is reviewable. A, true, B, false.
A, true.
It is true. In fact, I think it was one of the earliest reviewable plays that they made right after home runs.
Yes, it's considered a boundary call.
Okay. All right, Joe, one more. Where you want to go?
Okay, let's do baseline adventures for 200.
Baseline adventures for 200. While attempting to avoid a tag, a runner may run up to 3 steps out of the baseline. Is that A, true, or B, false?
A, true.
And it's actually false. The operative number 3 is correct, but not steps. It's 3 feet. And that's got to be kind of a squirrely little way to judge things, Jim Joyce. I mean, you guys have to be pretty good judge of what 3 feet is and what isn't on a rundown.
The rule of thumb is an arm's length. If you think about it, usually an adult's arm is about 3 feet, a yardstick. And the rule of thumb is if the player is trying to tag a runner running by him and he reaches fully out, the rule of thumb is about 3 feet. And Joe, I'm sorry, but that's a trick question.
It is a trick question. Well, you know, we're always trying to trick the Red Sox up whenever we get a chance. All right, Dave Van Horne, back to you.
Okay, let's go with Baseline Adventures 400.
Baseline Adventures.
400. Yep.
400. Okay, a runner in a rundown may wave his arm to distract the fielder so long as he does not touch the ball. Is that A, true, or B, false?
I'm going to say that is true because he can also wave his arm to direct another base runner if he is in a rundown and he wants another base runner to make a move. So I'm going to go with A, true.
Okay, well, you may have punched a hole in the question right there because that's one way you can wave your arm, but not necessarily to distract the fielder. Jim, I would imagine you see this more in amateur baseball where kids, you know, getting a rundown more often and they're trying to do whatever they can to get out of it. But if they're playing by OBR, official baseball rules, you can't wave your arm, can you?
No, you can't. It's considered unsportsmanlike. The way you usually see this happen is a runner will actually position his body between the throw and the fielder. If he's in between in a rundown, if he intentionally throws his body out, now you run into the interference rule.
You know, the one that comes to mind is Reggie Jackson sticking his behind out there in a World Series game.
That's exactly right.
All right, Joe, back to you. We're getting right down to the nitty-gritty here.
Okay, let's do Baseline Adventures for 300.
Baseline Adventures for 300. For a runner on base, the baseline is defined as the direct line from one base to the next. A, true, B, false.
A, true.
Another misunderstood rule about base running, Jim Joyce.
Well, this is one of those. Another rule. It's not considered from base directly to the base. The base runner directs the path of the baseline, and the only base that's not true is first base, is from home to first. Okay. From first, second to third to home, the runner defines his own baseline.
All right, so in an example of that, say there's a runner who's got a big lead at first base, and the pitcher picks him off, and the runner's first move is not towards second base or back to first, but it's, say, towards right field a little bit. Now his baseline is between where he is now and second base. Is that the way you?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So. Just to throw one in on this, and I'm not saying this because I had the play, but it just sparks my memory, was the obstruction call in the World Series at third base. When the runner got up, he had touched third base, but when he got to his feet, he was about 3 feet away from first base and started out on the grass and ran directly to home plate from there. Well, one of the arguments is that he was out of the baseline. Well, when he got up and made his first step, he created his own baseline. And during the press briefing that night, John Hirschbeck correctly told the press that night that, remember, guys, a base runner makes his own baseline after first base.
That was the play with Will Middlebrooks at third for the Red Sox, and Alan Craig later with the Red Sox was the base runner, and that was the last play of the game.
Right.
Cardinals won.
Wow. Little things like that if they had known then what they know now, right? All right, Dave Van Horne, got a chance to get right back into this for the last couple of boxes.
All right, let's go too close to call 500.
Too close to call for 500. All right, now we'll take our time on this one. The pitcher attempts a pickoff throw to first base. The runner's obviously safe. The throw is in the dirt, and the first baseman knocks it down. The ball then rolls slowly toward the first base coach. Now, the runner's going nowhere. But the base coach reaches down, and he picks up the ball, and he tosses it to the first baseman. Is the ruling A, since there's no play on the runner, this is nothing, the ball remains in play? B, this is interference, the runner on first has to be called out? Or C, this is interference without a play being made, the ball is dead and the runner stays at first base?
I will say C.
Okay. That one seems like the most obvious one, but it's not true. Jim,
wrong.
We've had a little discussion over this one.
Chris had sent me the questions yesterday, and I saw this play, and immediately Chris had put it as C. And I started looking at that, and I started thinking about it. I know I've been out of the game for like 4 years now, but it just kept hitting me. No, it has to be B because the ball's alive. So I actually went and I called two guys that are active Major League umpires that were my partners, and I just quizzed them on this play. I read them the play and everything, and they both agreed, and I agree that this is interference. Now, it's a very harsh interference penalty. I have never seen this play, but if you think about this, and you guys all know this man, Gene Mock, if he would have saw that happen and the umpires didn't do anything on it, there would have been about 4 ejections.
Oh, the good old days of 4 ejections in 1 inning. That's the kind of stuff we used to love to watch. Guys, let's go call it right there. I want to thank you guys very much for joining me on the Broadcasters Rules Challenge. It was really a lot of fun to play today and learn a little bit about the rules. Jim Joyce, thank you for being the arbiter behind home plate. Dave Van Horne, Joe Castiglione, thank you very much for joining us. And hey, I hope that broke up your day a little bit. You learned a little bit about the rules of baseball. Dave, it was great to see you again.
It was a lot of fun. And Jim Joyce just mentioned the name, Gene Mock. Gene Mock was my first major league manager as a broadcaster. It was great breaking in under him for 7 years. And he's rolling over in his grave right now looking at this.
Do you remember the play when I've only seen it on video that Gene Mock where the catcher reached out and touched the ball, the live ball after the pitch with his mask? That's probably the most famous one, and that was the umpire did not call interference, and Gene came out and argued, and the guys got together and agreed with Gene, and it was catcher's interference, and the runners advanced, and I believe scored a run. He was the best manager for the rules.
You know, that same play, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, happened with the Red Sox. Christian Vasquez did that a few years ago. He didn't really realize it. Ball got away. It kind of got between his legs. He had his mask in his hand, and he just scooped the ball towards his glove.
Rather than get up and pick it up, that's what he did, and it was costly. And he didn't know the rule, of course.
Years ago, the late Harry Wendelstad told me that Gene Mock was responsible for more rules, adjustments, and changes than any manager in his time.
That's probably a very true statement right there. And that play that we're talking about, that is one of those plays in baseball where the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Yeah. And some of those rules I wish they would clean up to a certain degree. It's totally unintentional. No runners are moving or anything like that. And I wish they gave a little bit more power to an umpire to be able to deem that. But when something's in black and white, the umpire has to adhere by it.
I agree with you, Jim, that it should have been changed, and that would have meant 500 points for me.
Hey, you're exactly right.
Well, we'll get you on again, Dave. That's for sure. And
This is a
Joe,
lot of
thank
fun.
you very much. Jim Joyce, great to visit with you as well. Thanks for arbitrating this whole thing. And thank you guys for joining us on the Broadcaster Rules Challenge. It's part of the Baseball Rules Academy, website dedicated to the rules of baseball. And hopefully we'll get Major League Baseball back and going real soon, and we'll have some more rule stuff to talk about.
Chris, we watch it every week, and we thank you. We always learn something each week.
Absolutely.
You put it out there for us.
Well,
Always good stuff, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Dave, Joe, and Jim Joyce. Great to see you again. Take care.
Stay safe, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us on the Broadcaster Rules Challenge. Boy, that was a lot of fun. You know, sometimes I feel like the questions might be a little bit too tricky, but what the heck? It's always fun to trip up a broadcaster when you get a chance, right? Especially when I'm on this side of asking the question. Well, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to log on to Baseball Rules Academy. If you've got a rules question, want to see a video, read a special blog, or a case study about a crazy rule, it's all there on baseballrulesacademy.com. So long, everybody.